Today I'm going to show you how I make my super simple guacamole and homemade corn tortilla chips. I had some old tortilla chips in my fridge that I had to use up, so I'm having them and then cutting them again, and I end up with about 8 triangles per tortilla chip. I think there's 3 there. That ended up being a good amount for one person. You could definitely do more if you're looking to feed a crowd or a couple more people with this snack. Once I'm done cutting these up into those 8 pieces, you can see how many I ended up with those 3 tortillas. I'm now going to cut out my veg that I'm going to incorporate into my guacamole. I'm scooping out the flesh and the seeds. I don't really like that watery, seedy part in there. This is a Roma tomato. In Canada, it's sometimes hard to find good veg. Tomatoes can be mealy and grainy. This one is a better bet if you're looking for one that tastes a little fresher and still has some flavor. I'm just giving them a quick dice so that they are in small pieces when I put it into the guacamole. I don't think I'm going to end up using all of this tomato, but since I've kind of already cut it up, I guess that I'll have to use a bit more for another recipe in the future. Again, you can see how small I'm cutting these, just kind of a centimeter by centimeter cube. Just gonna set those tomatoes off to the side, and then I'm gonna grab some garlic. I'm gonna cut the stem end off and just give it a quick smash with my knife. That allows the skin to come off very easily, and you don't have to kind of fiddle around with the skin and try to get it off for a couple minutes. Set those aside as well. I'm using 2 garlic cloves for this recipe for 1 avocado. You can definitely decide how much garlic you want in this. It's all kind of dependent on taste. That's the best thing about cooking. Next, I'm just going to do an onion. I'm going to use half this onion, just cutting it and doing a quick dice on this again, peeling off the skin and making sure that all of that is off, and then doing some horizontal slices, 1 quick vertical slice, and then dice that half onion all the way up. Setting those diced onions aside, I'm going to grab my avocado, just give that a quick open, and you can see I hesitate a bit because it's not the freshest avocado, but in the winter there's not much you can do and you don't want to waste it, so I'm just going to scoop out those brown parts and try to save as much as I can on both sides. I'm just kind of making sure that I don't have any of that gross mealy stuff in there. Gave it a quick dice and I put it on my plate, and that is everything that I'm going to put in my guacamole. I'm preheating my oven to 410 for those tortilla chips, and then I'm just going to toss them in a bowl with a little bit of oil and salt so that they're all fully coated and crisp up really nicely in that oven. Put them on a pan with some parchment paper so they don't stick, and then they can go in that preheated oven that is currently at 410 degrees. That's going to go in there for 11 minutes. Halfway through, you're going to flip them around so that they crisp up on both sides. So I'm putting in the garlic cloves, about half of that onion, half of those tomatoes as well, and then just a good bunch of that cilantro, and we're going to mash it all together in my mortar and pestle. So this is a really good quality one. It's super heavy, so it can take a lot of heat as you're punching in down on that veg. You want to actually make this into a paste. The best thing about this method is that you get a lot more flavor out of your vegetables as opposed to chopping them. It allows the garlic and the onion to really permeate through that guacamole, and I personally like this method a lot better than throwing everything in, say, a food processor. So you can see it's down to a paste now. I'm going to add the avocado, and I'm gonna stir that more than mash it because it does incorporate very easily. This avocado is super ripe, so I don't have to do much work to get that all mixed together. It does take a couple minutes to get the right consistency. You can have your guacamole as smooth or as chunky as you want. That's the beauty of this recipe. Gonna add a decent amount of salt, that's till taste as well, and just mix that in. The next thing I'm going to add is just half lime, the juice of a lime, so that you have some acidity in there. And then my personal favorite is to add just a little bit of Frank's Red Hot. It adds a little bit of different flavor, not super traditional, but I personally love the taste that it brings, especially if you didn't have a jalapeno. And that's the texture that I like, super creamy, so green and fresh. And you can see a little closer the texture that I've got here. There is still some chunks. So I have this chipotle lime salt that I'm gonna add to my baked tortilla chips that I pulled out of the oven, just to add a little bit of heat and flavor to those chips. They came out super crispy and lovely and golden. It's a great way to make your own tortilla chips, and they're baked as well, so you know they're not fried. And that's it. A super simple guacamole with your homemade corn tortilla chips. If you brought this to a party, everyone would be super stoked. And check out that dip.